3.
Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Now we can go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We are streaming live on YouTube. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, on this beautiful Monday as we pick up the State of the Union series, and we're talking about a position near and dear to my heart, the safety group. The group that I think is the deepest on this team. But not only are we going to talk about why I think it's the deepest, we're going to peel back the layers and really dive into why I think Mike Zimmer will get the best out of these guys and take them to the next level. Yeah, everywhere he's been, it's been that way. So we're going to jump into the film room. We're going to break down every player that will be competing. Good morning, Bomb Squad.
Bomb Squad!
Hopefully they're competing a little bit better than the Dallas Mavericks. Too old? Come on, man. But they'll be back here in Dallas, and hopefully, you know, they tie this series up. But boy, come on, Mavs. Counting on you. I'm counting on you to put the pressure on our boy, more pressure on our boys. But what's good with you? How was everybody's weekend? Hope it was good and as chill as mine was. Ready for this week's work. Got some good stuff lined up for you, and I'll even tease what's happening later on in the week. Me and Mo will be doing a crossover show. I will be joining Mo's show on Thursday night. So you won't see me Thursday morning, but you'll see me Thursday night. So that will be fun. But today is about the safety group. My bad. Hey, I'm just saying, Byron. I don't know what's going on with the Mavs. Need them to step it up. Just like I'm going to need these safeties to step up under Mike Zimmer, because Zim, we know Zim is not here to play around. And one group he holds near and dear to his heart is the defensive backs, particularly the safeties, in my opinion, because he asked them to do a lot of different things. And again, when you peel back the layers, I think it starts with his resume at the position. When you go back and you see some of the guys that he's helped groom into some of the best, or just getting the best out of those dudes. He puts a lot of responsibility on these guys. And if you play your cards right, if you have a lick of talent and mental processing ability, you could make yourself some money, or you could just have a really good season. And in the case of Anthony Harris, you know, he had a really good season, but he didn't make himself some money. So you go back and let's take a look at some of the safeties under Mike Zimmer. You got to start with the Cowboys, obviously. We got to remember, you know, we think about Darren Woodson, and some people may think about Darren Woodson and Mike Zimmer and think when he took over as defensive coordinator. But remember, Zimmer was with the Cowboys as a defensive backs coach during the Super Bowl era, right? So he helped, and Woody talks about this a lot, how he hated him at the time, but he understood, you know, he helped get the best out of me. Roy Williams, however, was drafted when he was the DC, and Roy Williams had his best seasons as a safety under Mike Zimmer. So you obviously have the Cowboys connection with Woody and Roy. But then you go to Cincinnati. You also got Reggie Nelson, who had something like 11 interceptions during his time with the Bengals when Mike Zimmer was a defensive coordinator. 11 at the safety position. I don't even know if the safeties on the Cowboys have 11 interceptions combined in their career. I don't know. Chris Crocker had his best seasons under Mike Zimmer. George Iloka was a young buck at the very tail end of Mike Zimmer, but he had his best year under Mike Zimmer. Mike goes on to Minnesota. Harrison Smith, we know, borderline Hall of Famer with his production. Anthony Harris, just talked about him, he led the league in interceptions one year. He went from a backup safety behind Andrew Sendejo, who had some good years also under Mike. Went from a backup safety to a starter and led the league in interceptions. And since Mike left, Anthony Harris has been nothing. So everywhere he's been, the safety unit, at least a handful of these guys, have improved. And I don't really see that changing because this group the Cowboys have is a really damn good group. What I do think will change, though, is you will see a tangible change in how they're used compared to Dan Quinn. No longer will you just have extra bodies in the run game or floating around on the roof. Guys who shouldn't be back there. Jay Runker. There will be a variety of looks, right? And a variety of ways that Zimmer will use these guys, which is why you kind of got to be heady. It can't just be sheer talent. You have to be smart back there. One of the things you'll see him do the most of, as I pull up some of this film we're going to jump into here in a second, you'll see a lot of pre-snap movement or at snap movement, but mostly pre-snap movement that will mirror whatever the front seven is doing. So if there's a game up front, well, best believe the safeties are probably a part of it in some way, if it's a passing down. Let's jump into the film room quick. I want to show you a handful of plays about what I mean. Now, in Dallas, usually what you saw is what you got. If you saw cover one single high, Malik Hooker on the roof, he was likely staying there. Hardly were we in a too high shell. That just wasn't what we did. But if you saw that, likely it was standard. So the Cowboys didn't do a whole lot of pre-snap movement with their safeties in that capacity unless it was J-Ron floating around the box. But no one was scared of J-Ron beelining back in coverage. So this is there are a few examples of what Zim likes to do. He'll do some things like he'll start off what looks like a single high. I believe this is the other safety down here. And as the play goes on, you'll see the rotation. And by the rotation, I mean he's going to drop back now a single high. And Anthony Harris is going to drop down into that robber role, pretty much eliminating anything across the middle. And what that does is you can see, and this is Jared Goff, by the way, Sean McVay's offense. He wants this because this is where the rotation told him. This is what the coverage told him. But it's not there. Jared Goff steps up. Incomplete pass. Once again, single high, this time to a two high situation. But this is going to be interesting because Jared Goff sees the formation right now. And Jared Goff is like, I don't like what I see. So we're going to come out and we're going to audible. We're going to bring in the tight end. And mind you, the responsibility of the corners are pretty high too. So the cornerback knows if this guy motions inside and they're in a tight formation, I'm going to come down into more of a press look. You got communication up front. And what looks like a single high will now once again rotate at the snap or pre-snap into a two high look. And these, it seems simple, but these type of things before the snap can help set up whether it be an interception, a sack, forced fumble, what have you. It can set you up to make plays. And this is a specific situation right here. So again, single high rotation to a two high middle of the field robber once again. But this one is more interesting because it's going to take on some nuance after the snap. So here we go. We got Anthony Harris back here on the roof again, right? We got man across the board. Okay, Aaron Rodgers sees it. He likes it. All right, here we go. Audible. What do we got? Numbers over here? Okay, Louis. We're going to rotate the protection left because of all of these numbers over here. And just stay tuned. We'll take a look at the other side. But I want you to look at the back end here. But right at the snap, or before the snap, what happens? We got rotation. And now, boom, we are in a two high look. And Aaron Rodgers cannot do anything about it. But here's the cool thing about this post snap. Aaron Rodgers, smart quarterback, knows he really can't go here. And they probably got something on over here. They probably know if a safety rotates, we can't go deep. But take a look at Anthony Harris and the way he opens up. He opens up as if he's going to play this half of the field. But what he's really doing is he's reading this slot wide receiver, because if he opens up, we have middle of the field open, and middle of the field open quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers would love to just zip that thing right down the middle. But watch our guy Anthony Harris switch. He flips his hips back inside because he sees that this slot wide receiver wants to attack the middle of the field. So Anthony Harris takes that away. Aaron Rodgers has to hold on to the ball, and there's nowhere to go, and we get a sack. But watch how this also mirrors what they're doing up front, and this is what makes Zim's scheme so fun. There's a numbers game that's going to create a protection slide and get 1v1 versus your best pass rusher. So what I mean by numbers game, and you can see the center looking back. What is the call here? Because we got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys, and this guy's in a wide 9 technique, so he's way out here. Okay, what's happening? Aaron Rodgers, Louis, or whatever they call to slide their protection left. You saw the center point to the left side, and we are going to have our numbers right because we're sliding protection. Well, last second, now the numbers are even, but our protection is still sliding, and you can see this tackle like, wait a minute, I don't need to, but they can't change the play. So the protection is on, and what happens? Everybody's sliding now. Everybody's sliding, and there's no need to. And we got what? 1-on-1 with the great one. When you have a tight end on a guy like Danielle Hunter, and let's pretend this is the MPP, the Micah Parsons problem. What happens? Boom! You're going to get a sack. And that's the confusion and the chaos that Mike Zimmer can cause by just using his safeties. Something, ladies and gentlemen, we just did not see a whole lot of, in my opinion, under Dan Quinn. We didn't see, the safeties being used in that capacity. For whatever reason, in 2023, they actually were played a lot softer than in 2022. But they damn sure weren't used like that at any given point. The only creative way they were being used, if you want to call it that, after 2021 was, the big nickel thing. We're going to use a safety like a linebacker, and we know how that played out. But Zim is going to use these guys in a completely different capacity, and at times you'll see them play half field. Sometimes you'll see the single high, but I truly do believe you will get a lot more plays made out of the safeties, or they'll be a part of making those plays because of their responsibilities on said play. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see who shines and steps up, because I do think there could potentially be some competition. Now, politics may play, but I would, again, break the pool stick, throw it out there, and may the best 2 guys win. But I will say this as we get ready to break down these guys. I don't think these gentlemen will be among the best 2. That doesn't mean there's not something there for them for the future, but I don't think these are the guys that will be competing for that. These guys will likely, in my opinion, be competing for practice squad, or if they carry 5, safety 5. And that includes one of the more popular undrafted free agents out of ECU, Julius Wood. Big hitter. 6'1", 194. I wouldn't consider him the fastest of guys, 4'6", 4'7", but that probably didn't sit well with the scouts. But he already, has turned some heads. If you go look at OTAs, this comes from Todd Archer, a diabolical tweet, by the way. But Todd Archer said, rookie safety Julius Wood had the most athletic play of the day, picking off Lance in walkthrough, so take that with a grain of salt. Wood leaped in the air and sucked the ball into his right hand like nothing. Hey, Todd, come on, dog. Todd, You couldn't think of another way to tweet that? Let me help you out. Wood leaped in the air and grabbed the ball into his right hand like nothing. It wasn't Odell-like, but in that manner. God, it's that simple, Ty. Sheesh. Know what he doing. Anyway, so this kid is, and then we talked to Aisha, right? Aisha said, yeah, man, you know, I like what I saw on film. He's a run guy, and he is. He's a physical, run fit, hard hitting, tone setting, developmental safety that, if anything, will have to make his case on special teams as he develops his skill set. And again, this is not anything new. The Cowboys have had safeties like this, Wanye Thomas, Marquise Bell, that have started as special teams guys and have developed. And now, as when we'll get to it, we're talking about these guys potentially getting more playing time. Same thing with Amani Johnson. I mean, there's not much difference in their situations. Now, Johnson is a bigger dude in stature. He's 6'1", 218, and runs a 4.5 40. And if Dan Quinn was here, he'd turn him into a linebacker. Just saying. But Johnson, another physical, run-stopping type of safety. But I think he has a really good close trigger inside run game. But has to develop right as a cover guy and just at the position in general. So Amani Johnson, Julius Woodhell, Sheldrick, Redwine. I think these guys will compete with each other for the practice. I mean, I think they'll compete for the practice squad at the very most, maybe safety 5 if they go that route. But this isn't Dan Quinn. I don't know if they're going to carry 5 safeties or safety 6. I'm sorry. They'll compete for safety 5 if they carry 5, but I don't even know if they'll do that. I don't know, Cowboys Nation. Dan had that big nickel. You needed like 5-6 safeties. They're not going to do that with Zimmer. Zimmer is going to likely play 2 safeties. That third guy is going to be a spell guy, an injury pro, or a guy that fills in for someone that's injured. Not a whole lot of big nickels going to be ran out there. And if they do it, that's something they would have kept over from Dan Quinn, maybe to make things easier. But that is not what Zimmer does, historically speaking. We got to have a conversation. We're going to take a pause after this conversation and talk to y'all here about our guy Izzy. Because Izzy had all the momentum in the world after 2022 to, at the very least, be sort of that 6th man, right? That versatile guy. Hey, we can do something at corner. We can do something at safety with. But then it wasn't a clean camp. It wasn't a clean preseason. And they saw, get out of there. Or we saw Wanye Thomas leap him, right? Rightfully so, by the way. Wanye did have a good camp. He did have a good preseason, and obviously that carried over into the regular season. In fact, week 1. Week 1, Wanye showed out both on special teams and on defense. But Izzy got lost in the sauce. He fell out of favor with the guy who drafted him. So he had his sponsor. I wouldn't call it a doghouse or nothing like that. I just think he got beat out. Okay? He only saw 77 snaps in 2023. How many times did he play more than 7 snaps? 3 times. And all of them were blowouts. So he was quite literally an afterthought. Dan felt, hey, man, whatever with Israel Mukuamu, which was a little shocking. Given how he ended his 2022 season, you would have thought politics would have played in Israel Mukuamu's favor, but it did not. And I like this because you said, okay, Izzy, you played well, but this kid Wanye is on your heels. Beat him out, and he didn't. I personally believe Wanye has leaped him to be safety 3 right now, but that competition will also be heated up, and potentially, and we'll get to it in a second, he might be higher than that. So it all depends on what they go out there and do at camp and what they do in the preseason. But Israel Mukuamu, this is why I don't have a conversation. Because he's been snip, snapped. Played some corner in college, also played some safety. Gets drafted by the Cowboys, he plays safety, but then hey, we need you to do some corner things. And now he's going into what? This year 4? Year 4. We don't know what to do with Israel Mukuamu. He doesn't have his sponsor in the building anymore. Y'all know how I feel about Izzy. I've always said if he's going to be a safety, he's a free safety guy. Allow him to use his coverage ability. If he's going to be a corner, put his ass on the boundary. Don't put him in that slot. Put him on the boundary. But now, because of the depth in that safety room, I personally don't think he'll be able to climb as high. And with Deron Bland showing out, Diggs returning, Jay Lewis here, they drafted Carson. Izzy is in a very interesting situation. Sounds like he's being squeezed here. The pressure is on him. Where can he stand out the most? Where are they going to put him? They have him listed as safety. But if that's the case, this is where he's going to be. So it is really interesting with Israel Mukuamu. Because on one hand, if you say, man, Izzy might be one of those surprise cuts, it wouldn't surprise me. But because he's kind of a fan favorite, the size 6'4" wingspan, there's some things to like there. But when you really peel back the layers, he's not in the top 4 at the safety position. He's not in the top 4 at corner. So where and what will they do with Israel Mukuamu, Cowboys Nation? I'm interested to know how you guys feel about Izzy here. Very interested to know. What's up, C? C Nick said he might get cut. If he plays well, I think he'll make the team. But if he looks like he did last camp in preseason, and one of these kids, Monty and Julius or something, hey, just saying. They're just saying. Jay said we don't need a Zimmer cursory. No, we do not. No, we don't need that, man. Trade or a cut or trade bait, says Devin. Maybe a savvy team. Maybe a savvy team could move Israel Mukuamu for something. Where are you guys at on Izzy? I don't know. I don't know where to place him right now. Professor O's indifferent. I like him as a person, but it's time to seize a role or go. Facts. I see Izzy as a jag until he shows different in camp. Yeah, his camp was a little disappointing. His preseason was it was arguably his worst since he's been here. TC says keep him. There's not a better young defensive player in the, talking about Micah. Is there a Micah debate? There always seems to be a Micah debate. So, that's where we're at with the bottom of the roster here. I think Israel Mukuamu is not looking in front. He should be, right? Like, you always want to beat the guys in front of you, but he's got to keep these young, hungry guys off his heels in Amani Johnson and Julius Wood. He's got to. Steven, and a lot of people believe this as well, right? Izzy's a better corner than safety. I would put him at boundary and see if that length can be used. With this new scheme with Mike Zimmer, there's going to be a lot of like a press man type of situation with some safeties over top. And with that length, that could be something if he is good at pressing, and he should be. I mean, you're that big, you better be able to be physical at the line of scrimmage. So I would say throw him out at boundary. Let him compete. He is the veteran of the group. So if Kalen Carson is not quite ready, you have a veteran in Israel Mukuamu. But I don't know. I have no idea what they're going to do with him. None. But let's talk about why it's going to be tough for him to crack in that damn safety room, man. for not the first time, I guess you could argue 2 years ago, this kind of changed. But it's been a while since, I come into a season, multiple seasons, and I'm like, man, I feel good about safety. I feel even better about safety because of Zim. But the talent alone. I know none of these guys have been all pro or Pro Bowl or anything like that, but this is just a really good, solid group. You can go 4 deep and I think feel pretty good about what you got here. Start with Marquise Bell, which he might be the most intriguing guy here. Here's why. In his rookie year, he didn't see much time at all. Only 22 snaps on defense. More of a special teams guy. Then 2023 comes and we all know what happens, right? Injuries at linebacker. Quinn goes ahead and puts him at linebacker full time. It actually moves that process ahead because he talked a little bit about how he thinks that he could play some linebacker. And to Bell's credit, he made do with the situation. To his credit. My man's only 200 pounds at linebacker, 205. And he probably, honestly, he might not even have been 205 by the time it came down to, after the bye week, because you tend to lose a little bit of weight. So when Quinn was like, yeah, I can see him doing some linebacker, I didn't expect it to be full-time backer. I thought more of the J-Ron role, right? Hey, we're going to moonlight you around the line of scrimmage, but you're our big nickel safety. Nope. They had his little ass out there at middle linebacker. But like I said, man, he made do with the situation. And I got to give him credit, right? 94 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, had 4 pass breakups. Yes, did he eventually become a liability in the run game towards the end of the season? Sure. But I'm not putting that on him. He had no business being a linebacker for that damn long. Now, where I was surprised that they did not do more with Marquise Bell was in the blitz department. Like, if you're going to put an undersized linebacker, and I mean extremely undersized, I'm talking 200 pounds undersized, why not use the quickness and speed, because that's what makes him unique? Why not use that moving forward to get after the quarterback? They hardly did that. Marquise Bell blitzed a total of 18 times last year. For reference, LVE, one of the slowest dudes on the team, blitzed 18 times in 5 games. Marquise Bell, 18 times, and he played all 17 games. LVE played 5. He blitzed the same amount.
3.
Makes no sense. Damone Clark blitzed 42 times, by the way. But now he's going to move back to safety. And that's where it gets interesting, because he does not have a ton of reps there as a professional. And it kind of puts him behind the 8 ball just a little bit. But I think there's way too much talent in Marquise Bell to write him off there. So once camp gets here and preseason gets here, I'm going to be zeroed in on the mental aspect for Marquise Bell. Is he figuring things out back there under Mike Zimmer, who, look, if you're somebody that's still trying to figure it out and doesn't have it down pat, he's going to ask you to do a lot. He's not going to put you out there. So we could potentially see Marquise Bell go from 800 snaps or whatever he played last year to being buried on the safety depth chart if he does not become a starter. Really strange. How often do you see something like that? Usually when a young guy breaks out, he'll continue where he's at or he'll be given that shot. But the problem is there's no way in hell he's going to play linebacker. And that's where he kind of broke out, right? And ahead of him are the 2 veteran guys in Dono and Malik, who he's going to have to beat out. And I love that. Let's make it a competition here. So it's not as damning as Izzy, right? That's a lot of tongue twister. It's not the Izzy situation where Izzy could potentially not be here. Marquise Bell's going to be here. Marquise Bell, I think potentially him and YA could be the future moving forward. It's just a matter of 2024. Will he be able to give Mike Zimmer, who, like I said, if you have any lick of talent and you have any ability to mental process, you will have a shot at the safety position. Will he give Zimmer enough confidence to put him out there as a starter, or will he just be a special teams guy and a backup? That'll be extremely interesting because I love him as a safety. 6'3", 205. He has quickness. He can hit. You saw some of the mental processing in the opener of the game. I love the future of him as safety. But I'm telling you right now, those two in front of him is not going to make it easy. Y.A. Thomas, who leapfrogged Israel Mukuamu. And it started in camp, by the way. It wasn't like it was something that happened in the season. It happened pretty soon. I think is your most athletic, explosive safety on the roster. Yep. And Dono is extremely explosive. He showed you in the little snaps that he did get, which was 192 throughout the season, which is a little bit more than a little. But he showed you that he can be a guy to count on. Now, his worst game of the year probably came in Buffalo, right? Missed a lot of tackles, and he will probably want that back. But I ain't going to hold one game over the entire season when he was given a chance out there. Wanye looked pretty damn good. And, he spoke to Nicole and a couple guys. Mike McCarthy talked about him. I think Y.A. Thomas is going to make Mike Zimmer and those boys in there have to make a decision. I do. Because he is versatile. I think with J-Ron gone, and obviously not the same J-Ron, I think he becomes your most versatile safety in the room. Last year, he played 73 snaps in the box, 58 at free, 39 in the slot. And I thought he did good things at all three positions. 7 stops, 3 pass breakups, and 110 coverage snaps. And when you really break down the coverage snaps, he was your best cover guy. Now, he didn't have enough coverage snaps to qualify for maybe some of the other safeties in the league. But on your team, YA showed in zone. He showed in man. He can be a guy that can go out there and make things difficult. And he has the size, right? I'm a big fan of this guy, man. I think he should be allowed to compete for a starting role. I mean, Marquise too, right? But he should be allowed to compete for a starting role. And the question is, can Y.A. Thomas nab a starting role in this deep safety room? Can he do it? If he can't, at the very least, he will be a core special teams guy. He had 315 snaps last year on special teams. So him and Bell, if they're not able to start, they'll at the very least be probably two of your best special teams guys. But man, in this scheme, in Mike Zimmer's scheme, I think YA, I think he could be a special player in this scheme. In fact, as we went back and looked in that film room, right? And we saw Anthony Harris a lot on the roof, and you saw Harrison Smith moving around. I like him in that role. I like Wanye being the guy that, he's up at the line of scrimmage and last second he's peeling back. Or they're blitzing him. Harrison Smith blitzed a lot. Dono, when you blitz Dono, we'll get to that in a second. When you blitz Dono is a menace. So he'll probably play that Harrison Smith blitz type of role. But just looking into the future, right? Man, if Zimmer's here, man, I think he would excel in that kind of move me around. When I say move me around, I'm not saying this is Troy Polamalu, but strategically, he's being moved around because he was already moved around. He played everywhere last year in the minimal snaps he got. That's the other thing that kind of, again, pisses me off about the young guys, and when you mesh them with the coaching staff, is the coaching staff going to be here after next year? Because there's some potential in this pairing of Mike Zimmer and Wanye Thomas, but is Mike even going to be here? But that whole other discussion. I definitely think Wanye should be able to, allowed to, whatever you want to call it, compete for a starting position. If he doesn't win it, then that means that your veterans held it down. They did what they needed to do. But break that pool stick and let them compete. Briefly just talked about Donovan Wilson, who, if you go back and look with Dono, remember he had the situation with his calf coming off of a fantastic 2022 that earned him that nice contract. He got a 3-year extension. Then on the first day of camp, boom, he gets hurt. He misses all of training camp. He misses the first couple weeks of the season. Gets thrown out there in the worst we could possibly get thrown out there, the Cardinals game. And it wasn't great, right? It took him some time. In fact, it took him about 3 weeks until Dono started to feel like Dono again. And then by the time we got towards the end of the season, he closed out the year playing his best ball. He had 2 picks in the pass breakup, a couple turnovers, right? To close out the season. But in 2023, and this really goes beyond Donovan Wilson, I had to go look at something because something didn't sit right with my photographic memory of how the Cowboys were using these safeties, right? Like the film we watched, and like it looked different than 2022. What was different? Well, I knew for a fact that they didn't blitz Donovan Wilson a lot, which didn't sit right with me because he is one of the best blitzing safeties in the National Football League. He blitzed a total of 30 times in 2022. That went down almost half in 2023. But more importantly, the coverage. We understand that Dan Quinn loves to run man across the board. The problem is that when you play so much single high and that other safety is in the box, you're asking that safety to play man as well. That shot up from 24% in 2022 of Donovan Wilson playing man coverage to 41.5%. Now, look, I've seen Dono do some coverage things prior to him being a guy, but I'm damn sure not trying to play him damn near 50% of the time in man coverage. I wouldn't do that. I would allow him to see it, use that click close and that kamikaze ability to take somebody's head off, a la what he did to the Vikings and Dalvin Cook a couple years ago. But for whatever reason, Dan said, you know what? Dono, go out there and chase these wide receivers around all game. And that went for Malik, too, if we really go and look at Malik Hooker. He was playing a whole lot more man coverage, too. In fact, about the same percent year over year. Just a strange phenomenon. Like, why the sudden change with your defensive backs and not in a good way? So get back to using Donovan Wilson like the heat-seeking missile that he is, the kamikaze that he is. And I think you'll see more of what you saw from Dono towards the end of the year. He nor Malik are going to make things easy, by the way. And again, I got to go back. The resume speaks for itself. I think Zim is going to elevate all these guys. But that means even the veterans. So I don't think it's going to be as easy to just overtake these dudes if Zimmer is helping everybody out here. And that leads me to our final guy, Malik Hooker. Malik, to me, it was in 2022, I think, when J-Ron went out. He showed me, okay, that guy's a leader. He took over the J-Ron, I'm the leader role when J-Ron wasn't out there. And what I think you could argue is there were two guys in there that you could look at, J-Ron Kearse and Malik Hooker as leaders. J-Ron being the emotional leader and Malik kind of being he's the rah-rah emotional guy, but I'm the former first-round pick that's went through the trials and tribulations, now as a starter, and guys, look at me, right? I think now he's going to take over the emotional leader part. I think Malik is that veteran in there. And a lot of people, it was funny a few weeks ago, somebody said, man, Malik Hooker's old. Yo, Malik Hooker, 28. He just turned 28. It's so strange. He's one of those guys that he's going on his 8th season in the league, but he's only 28 years old. And he just got a new 3-year deal. Now, like I mentioned with Donald, I don't know what the fascination is with Dan Quinn just flipping the script with the safeties, playing more man, but Malik Hooker also went from 20-some% man coverage to 41.5% man coverage the next year. I don't think that's going to be the case under Mike Zimmer. And if you forget who the player Malik is, right, at safety, which wouldn't shock me because the role I think he was asked to play under Dan Quinn was just sit on the roof, don't let anything behind you. He wasn't asked to be a playmaker. But if you remember who Malik Hooker was coming out of college at Indianapolis, he was a playmaker. You saw some of that ability early in the season where he beeline from the roof, took off, and got an interception deep down the field. Now he's going to be playing a lot more halves, meaning he's going to be playing half the field, not the whole field. And you want to talk about heady. He's your most heady player in that room, 100%. Has the ability. Smart player. Now you're asking him to cover less ground. I absolutely think Malik Hooker is going, if he's a starter, right, which I believe will be, is going to have an even better season under Mike Zimmer. In fact, maybe his best under Mike Zimmer. I sure do. Another thing that he should get credit for, Malik Hooker was injury prone, dude. Remember that? He got here. And we was just like, hey, man, just take a flyer on Malik. Let's see what happens. If it works out, former first-round pick. We saw the film in Indy, can make plays. Hey, I'm not expecting much. Dude never played 15 games in his life. The 4 years in Indianapolis. Got to Dallas, 15 games, 16 games, 16 games. He don't miss. Knock on wood, wherever it's at. He has completely shed the injury-prone label. That is not easy to do, by the way. When you are labeled an injury-prone guy, it's for a reason. It follows you throughout your career. And usually as you get older, you get more injury-prone. As he's getting older, he's getting more healthy. Credit to the Cowboys, rehabilitation staff. But Malik, I got to tip my hat to him. His career was almost over, man. Between Achilles injuries and ACLs and knees, he didn't lose anything. And he's been able to remain healthy. So this unit, while I've been screaming about tight end 2 being extremely competitive, and I still believe that. I've been screaming wide receiver 3 is going to be extremely competitive. I still believe that because I feel like those positions are more open. This unit, they all love each other, by the way. They're tight. Wanye and Malik go at it all the time. This is a tight group. We saw Malik, vouch for Dono and J-Ron last year as a 3-headed monster. I think this unit is going to, and you can mark this down if you want. This unit is going to carry the defense. Yep. I showed you, and if you missed it, you can go back. I'm not going to go back into the film room. But I showed you the importance of these guys. Most defenses, you automatically think starts up front. And look, that's football 101. The line, right? The line. Offense, defense. Don't get me wrong. But when you break down the nuance of this scheme, Mike Zimmer is heavy on the back end. Heavy. It's a different discussion. Maybe we'll get into another time. But go back and watch the film and watch how the safeties movement pre and post snap mirrors what's happening up front. There's other little things you saw too, where you saw maybe a 3-tech shading one way and then the safety drops down. Now he's, going inside and making this guard or tackle have to pick up, Harrison Smith or whatever. There's going to be a lot of confusion caused because of what Mike Zimmer does with Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson or Wanye Thomas, whoever it is out there. Now, obviously, they have to execute. If they go out there and they look like a chicken with their heads cut off, then this thing's not going to work. It's not going to work. But I think it will, because I think you have a smart group, a veteran group, and then 2 young, hungry dogs. And if anything were to happen, they can slide right in there. Is it the best in the league? It's hard for me to say that, Beckley, because there's not a Pro Bowler, all pro among them. But like I said, to start this whole thing, I think you got 4 really solid dudes you can count on. And I don't know how many teams can say that. Now, they'll go out and they'll say it publicly. Yeah, we believe in Joe Schmo. But I think this is a talented group right here. Shouts out to my brother Foster King in the building, who has coined the term roof. D-Shift likes the D-line over the safeties. Do you like them over the safeties, or you think they're deeper? Because that would be interesting. You can like the D-line, but they ain't deeper. Beckley said, facts. I like this group a lot in the depth. Yeah, Beckley, I don't know that I would say it. Now, last year, coming into 2023, I could argue that, because I did think that J-Ron was a Pro Bowler at one time. I think in 2021, he got robbed. I also think Donovan Wilson was a Pro Bowler last year. Y'all know how I feel about Pro Bowl. I don't care if they actually get voted. Was there a Pro Bowl player? I don't think there was a Pro Bowl player among the group last year, though. Thus, I can't really rank them as high. When I say as high, I mean as number 1. When you got some of the, when you got like the Kansas City Chiefs room out there. At one point, Denver with Justin Simmons. By the way, did he get picked up? Just sitting out there. I would love to have Justin Simmons on this team. Not that we need it, but Justin Simmons, man. Whew. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pick this up here from Bishop Kane, but I know sometimes Bishop just be listening, I don't want to mess up his anytime. Hey, Bishop, you got something for the show today, or are you just listening, bro?
What's up, Scott, baby?
What's going on with you?
I ain't nothing, man. Up here at work, just step out, smoke me a square, listen in with y'all boys, man.
I feel you. You got something for the show, or you just listening? I wasn't sure today.
I low-key was just listening, but since I done stepped out, I just want to, since you just said something about Justin Simmons, man, like, God, man, like, say you and Jerry just get click tight one day, man. You chilling with Jerry, man. He say, man, give me 2 names. Give me 2 names, man, in this free agency that we can afford and you really think that we can use on this team. Can you give me 2 names? Preferably one offense, one defense, but they can be both defense or both offense, whatever. I'm just saying some holes in this roster that you see somebody you like, I want to go grab.
So money's not a factor? Well, obviously, number 1, Calais Campbell, right? Go get me Calais Campbell. But since we brought up Justin Simmons, we'll have a little fun. This is what I would do. Let me pull this up real quick. Let me see if he's still available. Is he still available? Let me see. All types, unrestricted free agent. Sometimes they don't even update it. Justin Simmons, is he still available? Y'all let me know. This is what I would do. I will 100% contact Justin Simmons, boy. I think he'd be a beast in this scheme. Calais Campbell, right? But then I'm flipping one of these guys. I'm flipping one of these safeties. Go get me another edge rusher, another defensive tackle, if you will, maybe a wide receiver, whoever, right? I'm flipping one of these dudes because I don't need that many to help out wherever I may need help. Linebacker, whatever you believe the Cowboys may need help, you flip one of these dudes for it. So you sign, and again, money's not a factor, right? We're just playing fantasy land here. You sign Calais Campbell, Justin Simmons, and I'm flipping one of these safeties for another position. How you like that?
I'm definitely picking up what you're putting down, man. I just since you had brought up Just, man, and I don't know if he's fine yet. We might need to look into that, but I'm just like, bro, I just feel like it's just not gonna be we just not finished adding into this 53-man roster. I don't think we finished. No. I hope we not finished. Let me say that.
No way. They're not done at all. I mean, it'll likely be sometime in camp. And they've done this, 3-4 years in a row now. In August or July, they've added a guy. So I believe 100% they will add a guy to this team. Yeah.
Appreciate you, Scott. I'm just gonna listen in for the rest of the show. I appreciate you taking my call, though.
Yeah. Hey, I love how you audible right there, Bishop Kane. Opened up a good discussion there. Appreciate you. Yeah, look, and I will completely admit here, I am biased. Justin Simmons has been one of my favorite safeties for quite some time. I think he plays a position from a intelligence standpoint, anticipation standpoint, playmaking standpoint. He's been one of the best in the last 6 or 7 years. I don't know why he's still available. I don't know if he's hurt. I have no clue. But I think, man, he would. Come on, man. And remember, he didn't like him, but he excelled because that's what that defense does when you have a smart secondary. But he played under Vic Fangio, who was not well liked. Zimmer and Vic are similar in the sense of they require your guys to be smart. They're hard ass old school dudes. But I think Zimmer, according to people behind the scenes, is a better person than Vic Fangio. D Schiff, good morning, sir.
Hey, what's going on, Scott?
Not much, brother.
So you kind of getting me a little optimistic with this safety talk.
I think you should be.
Obviously,
I think you should be, bro.
I have not, obviously I've not done the work, you've done to look at what Zimmer does to elevate his safety play and how it's going to be different as opposed to what we got from Dan Quinn, right? So my thing was like, all right, on our D-line, although we might not have the depth, you still have more guys that do elite things. Micah's going to kind of tail off, at the end of the year with the wear and tear. D-Law is an elite run stopper.
And that's where it stops.
You need him to do it.
So you do got two guys who do elite things. That is fair. But from a depth standpoint,
I feel like Osa's on a level of like a Donovan Wilson, right? As relative to the positions they play, right? They're not.
I don't know about that.
Elite guys. So you feel like Donovan Wilson's a little.
I think Donovan Wilson's better. I think he's shown to be better longer. Where Osa, we got to see Osa take the next step. I've seen Dono take that step. I've seen Dono be a Pro Bowler for an entire season. I haven't seen that out of Osa yet.
So with the tackles
are
depth,
the tackle's terrible. That's where it's over for me, bro. Like if we had better tackle depth, maybe I could have a conversation. The not even just depth. We just don't have a good tackle room. Period.
Right.
We don't have a true one tech. Osa is an undersized 3 tech in Mike Zimmer's scheme. Your number one pick, we hope like hell he could be 310 pounds at this point. You got a journeyman in Carl Davis and 2 rookies, one undrafted, one a 7th round pick. That deads the conversation to me.
Yeah. And there's no chance of like moving Nealand inside once in a while.
Nealand. Nah, Neil. I mean, yeah. NASCAR package.
Yeah. That's what I meant. But does Zimmer cater to that? Is that his style, or is he more like, does he kind of flash that NASCAR package as much as Dan Quinn?
I want to say him or Jeff Skanina, maybe both of them, brought up doing that. So I do think they're going to move these guys inside when need be. Historically speaking, he's had bigger defensive tackles, but the league has changed a little bit, right? So while, yes, I believe that Osa is definitely undersized for traditionally playing what he likes to play, he hasn't had a guy at defensive tackle that was sub 285 pounds. One guy, I think it was Tom Johnson. So
we've seen defenses, especially, you're talking about those Vikings defenses. I remember, that back end being a big reason for that their success or whatnot. So I'm just because the last 3 years I feel like our D-line has more carried this defense and the pass rush. Of course we couldn't stop the run, but the great things you've done. I felt like the D-line has caused a lot of it.
Oh,
and the back end is cashed in. You can argue the turnovers and the pick sixes. Like,
no,
you could argue that for sure.
You're basically saying the defensive line is a catalyst to the defense.
I think it's been there for the last 3 years. But of course, with Zimmer coming in, and what he kind of caters to with, the safeties and his corners. So I'm just interested. So you got my antennas up now.
Yeah, and look, that's not just a chicken and egg, right? Like, you need both at the end of the day. And he's not one to ignore the front seven. That's not where I'm getting at here. But given the cards he's been dealt, right? They didn't go out and get them any defensive tackle help at all, which was wild to me. They're counting on a Sam Williams to kind of be the next juice rush player. They didn't go out and sign another guy to move Micah to linebacker. So it's Micah. It's like going to be your rush guy, move around guy, and Sam's that next rush guy. It's not as deep as it was before when you had, Micah and Sam and Dorrance and Fowler. You had 4 deep that were guys that can get after the quarterback. Not the case now. So I do think they're going to have to lean on the scheme and lean on their safeties to kind of pick up some of the heavy lifting, right? Maybe the safeties are getting the turnovers now, not the corners, which something that Zim said, hey, we're going to sacrifice interceptions from those guys for just sticky coverage.
Right. And if you look at it strictly as a secondary versus D line, like, you totally got the safeties.
Well,
over
once you start talking about the corners,
tackles. As far as like the way it works, because like you can argue that the inside, the tackles, are kind of doing what the safeties do relative to what the corners do, what the ends do, right? The outside affects the pass game, where the inside affects the run game. Where the safeties help with the pass game too.
Well, if we're going to include the defensive back, you got to include the corners, and then it's really it's not even a discussion. When you include the corners with the safeties compared to the defensive tackles with the defensive ends, I don't think it's particularly close. And if it is close, it's because of Micah.
So I think the ingredients you're giving this chef, as opposed to the one we had prior, I think is exciting. So, man, appreciate the insight, bro. Thanks, man.
Thanks for the call, D-Chef. Hey, man, it's just, I ain't trying to sell you no bad goods, right? I just go back and look and see where Zim has been successful at on that side of the ball. I mean, you could argue linebackers too. We've talked about a handful of backers, but Reggie Nelson was a problem in Cincy. Chris Crocker was real good too. Harrison Smith put on a damn near Hall of Fame resume under Zim, and he talks very highly of Zim. We know about Woody. He does have a Hall of Fame resume. It's ridiculous he's not in there. And Roy was Roy. Roy was a top 3 pick, so maybe a little cheating here, but Roy was a menace when Zim was there. Can he take that resume and add to it? I believe so. I believe, whether it's 1 year or multiple years, whenever his time is up in Dallas, we'll go back and we'll say one of these guys showed off under Mike Zimmer. I believe it. Let's get back to the chat here. Guru said, I see Sam being the third DE off the bench. I agree. With Parsons, the D-Law ends in the 4-3 scheme. Yeah. Is Byron is it Monet? I know who you're talking about. Wasn't he like a Seattle guy? I'm not sure, brother. I wouldn't be able to tell you. But I was looking, trust me, I was looking a while ago at some more one texts that were out there. So I'm looking at Swain. So, you said he must be hurt. Does anybody have anything on why Simmons is a free agent? Baffling to me. Maybe he's a veteran. He's like, look, I'll just wait till somebody get hurt. I'm going to skip the OTAs. And, that's the thing. That is definitely a thing where these veterans don't want to go to these things because they don't feel there's benefits to them. So they'll wait to be signed around camp. Hey, Professor O, we got somebody in the chat saying I'm talking too much again. That was wild. What a wild day. What a wild day. Now go get me some DTs and we can have some conversations here. Jay said if Justin Rogers can be a bit better than Neville Gallimore at taking up space, then I will be very happy. Yeah, I don't even know if Neville was ever asked to do that. You know what I mean? I don't even know if Neville was even asked to do that. I'd argue one guy was asked to do that. Actually, no. Bo, Hank. I wouldn't say Mazi was asked, but Bo and Hank. I think Bo and Hank were asked to really take up the space. And then Mazi just had a very sloppy rookie year. You know, he has to learn. It was just very sloppy from a technical standpoint. Then he lost the weight and just was downhill. He showed some flashes, but he's got a lot to clean up. And I think having a guy like Skanina and Zimmer, he will get better technically, but he's now starting from the ground level. He's got to kind of work his way back. On his way out of talking about Zimmer, y'all. On his way out of Minnesota, wasn't great drafts, and I think that had a lot to do with, if you go look at his defensive production, it dipped pretty bad. I remember Trey Waynes and them boys. It didn't work out. But prior to that, man, he's always put up really damn good defenses. Y'all fighting with this big dude, 38? Big dudes, what happened, man? Oh boy. Oh boy. I got a couple more callers and we'll close this thing out. Let's wrap to Los and then we got 562. Hey Los, what's going on with the Mavs, man?
Hey, good morning, Sky. You know what?
Talk to me, bro.
All right, so a quick 2-minute thing of what the Mavs are doing right now.
Okay.
They're literally letting Boston guard them one-on-one. If Luka is literally not getting any support from his players, when they do double him and they can't make a shot, you can't win. That's straight up fact.
All right.
And I think Luka is out here playing 1 versus 5 basketball, so we'll see if the others show up to the finals. But I'm going to be honest, guy. If we lose game 3,
it's a wrap.
It ain't looking too good.
This ain't LeBron and Kyrie in 2016. Nah, it's a wrap.
Yeah, so it ain't looking too good. So it's a must-win game 3, so we'll see how they do.
All right.
But, I mean, hopefully we pull it off, man. I don't lose faith yet. Until it's done, it's the first team of 4, so we'll see. But now with the Cowboys, man, great job like always. Thank you for providing all the Cowboys support, even on this off season we have, right, guys? But I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I think Mike Zimmer is gonna be a huge difference this year to any defensive, group we have. Because I feel like he's gonna bring some fire to their ass, and it's something we've been needing for a while. So we'll see how Mike Zimmer does, especially coaching up Micah and stuff. But I don't think this defense is going to be a problem. I think it's going to be. Sorry if I'm.
No, you're good.
My dog here.
You're good.
I still think it's going to be still one of our strongest foundations here for the Cowboys.
I'm not completely off of that. I do think this defense has potential to be a better unit. My only reservation is if they do nothing at the defensive tackle spot, I worry a little bit, actually a lot of it, because of the lack of depth and just dudes in that room. But in my research, right, on Mike Zimmer, and I'm still just finding little things, plugging away, he actually dealt with a similar situation in Minnesota where he had to mask deficiencies. A lot of the times it was at corner. Sometimes it was on the defensive line. And he didn't have always a Micah and D-Law consistently week in, week out. So if there is a defensive coordinator that I feel like can put a Band-Aid over this, it'd be Mike. But my problem is how long until that wound opens back up? And now we're in the playoffs and we feel good about, the regular season of, the Cowboys did some good things defensively. But then a team says, okay, I know how to attack that undersized, small, not physical interior. And next thing you know, we're out the playoffs again. So give me some more guys in the middle. And I honestly, I wouldn't hate to say it because some people might be like, what are you talking about, Sky? Look what happened in the Green Bay. I wouldn't even worry about the defense. But we don't have anybody in that middle I can count on week in, week out right now.
Yeah, exactly, Scott. And one thing, and I know we're talking about safeties right now in the position, but I'm going to go to DT real quick. I think Mazi Smith's development in this offseason is going to be very key to those safeties and all those cornerbacks. Because if we can create basically just, pressure up the middle, it's going to help the safeties and corners tremendously. So we'll see if Mazi can help that group out as well.
Well, he'll help the linebackers out, number one. Yeah. He will help the linebackers out. There was when I was putting together some Bell film. I didn't include it in today's project, but there was a play in Arizona, and this play should pierce through your memory. It was a touchdown, Rondell Moore. I think it was a running play, and you saw, I think it was Hankins kind of just jump into a gap. Something Hankins, he shouldn't be doing. Jumps into a gap. So the guard or tackle, whoever it was, didn't really have to double team him. He got right to the second level. And a lot of times this year, whenever you saw it didn't matter how good the guard was, a bigger guard get to the second level on Marquise Bell, it was a wrap. So what could have happened if he just plays the block? Now Marquise Bell can maybe knife through. Maybe he makes Rondell Moore make a play, and instead of a 55-yard touchdown, and maybe it's a 10-yard run. But those things, if that happens under Zim's snapping. Zim's pulling guys out. Zim's giving them an earful. That will not be accepted this year.
And that's all I have, Sky. I mean, and I know you got other callers, so I'll let you go. But man,
we're good,
Sky,
actually.
like I said, Sky, you do a great job every morning. I mean, I'm blessed to have encountered you many years ago listening to you, and you keep going up there, man. Many blessings to you and your family. And you tell Vach out here that if we need to send some Mazi Smith some Jif packages, some peanut butter packages out there out here in the camp, let's make that possible, all right?
Facts.
So that's all I got. You have a blessed morning, Scott.
You too, Los. Thanks, brother. Man, I wish Mazi wasn't recovering from the injury. That I would have a lot more confidence that early, he'd show more promise. He's recovering from that injury, so what can he really do? Not much. And we'll see if he's going to be on PUP to start camp. We'll see if he'll be ready to start camp. But the hope, right? Living on that hope creed. The hope is that he has all of camp to get with Skanina and Zim and mostly Skanina and Gunther. And these guys will clean up his technique, his footwork, his hand placement, his just know-how. That was one of the things I was more shocked at. Because in Michigan, I often talk about, you can be a fantastic run defensive tackle in college because you may be more physical than the guy. But do you know how to do it? He showed know-how. Then we got here, and now he's being asked, and Zim said this, not just us, okay? He's being asked to get upfield and be more three-tech attack, and that just is not his game. So hopefully just by him playing his game and having, in my opinion, a guy better suited for the development, he shows promise enough for me to just be like, yeah, Mazi figures it out. We good. Not just yet. Mazi, it takes time at that position, number one, and probably should have another veteran in that room anyway to help him. Because if we're just leaning on Mazi being the solution at defensive tackle, I think we're setting ourselves up for failure. It's probably going to take Mazi some time because he's missing a significant, important portion of the offseason program, recovering from a shoulder injury. Oh, by the way, he's trying to get his weight back up. There's a lot going on with Mazi, plus the mental aspect. I'm not looking at 2024 Mazi as a uber impact player, hump player, none of that. I'm starting with baby steps. I just want to see progression and development, and we'll revisit this in 2025. Does that suck because he's your first round pick? Yep, that sucks. But the facts are the facts. He lost 40 damn pounds. He's trying to figure things out as a professional athlete. His weight is trying to get back up. He has a shoulder injury where he cannot do anything on the field until we get to camp, maybe. So he's behind the 8 ball. Those are just the facts. 562, what it do?
Hey, what's up, Scott? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. Who am I speaking to?
This is Tony, man. We talked a few times before.
Okay,
Hey, you remember that guy? You remember the guy, the running back I was telling you about from Utah?
Oh yeah.
Running back safety guy.
I think he went to Detroit.
Hey man, man, I'm so mad that we didn't get him, bro. Man, we could have used that dude, man. And he's playing running back now, man. Yeah.
Yep, and he's playing running back. You're right. Lions.
Yeah.
There it goes.
Like, bro, man. We could have used it, bro.
That's a whole
as a special team player.
Sion Vaki.
Yeah, exactly. We could have used him as a special team player, man, and just, develop him as a running back, And, I think we got 6-round pick, too, man.
I almost say Vasica.
Yeah. But, yeah, I just wanted to just let you know, man. I just wanted to say something about that. And just, man, God bless and enjoy the show, bro.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Hey, let me just show y'all how deep the bag goes sometimes in my head. So I go look up the dude, and I'm thinking of the name, and I'm thinking Vasica Hema. Why the hell am I thinking of Vasica? If y'all don't know who that is, just look him up. He's a running back from the olden days. But it's Sion Vaki. The Utah running back Tone was talking about, safety running back, whatever. He's with Detroit now, so he gets to be in Ben Johnson's offense and play behind that two-headed monster over there in Detroit. If he makes the team, we'll see. I see you, Jamal. He was a menace, man. Vasica Hema was a menace. A little bit as a returner. Taking it back to the AD era. Toxic, you I don't know how old you are, but you should know Vi. Maybe not. It might be for the time. Let's see what y'all talking about in here. Eshawn said Mazi is not enough. They do need more bodies. They cannot have guys playing that position that aren't actually like that, like the linebacker position last season. Yeah, I agree. He's not enough. As much as I want him to be, I don't believe that's the case. I believe there's a development that I get. Some players, and at certain times during this window, we kind of say, hey, screw the development. We need you now. But I think in this case, there is going to be patience that needs to be had with Mazi Smith. Oh, man. Hey, I don't know. Who was that? Sleazy? Tag me and Vach? That was funny. Looks nothing like me, but the Vach Jones sent me. See if I can find that. Let's jump into some supers if I missed any. K Money said our DT is gonna need ankle weights and weighted vests to stop that run. My biggest concern this season. Go get, bro. If they don't go get Calais Campbell, I don't know the hell they thinking at this position, man. All right, cool. We good on the supers. Poorhouse Picker. That's a crazy YouTube name. He said, hopefully we can find some DT help when teams cut now. I hate that too, though, man. We need it, though. Poorhouse Picker. The Cowboys need the help. And maybe you'll find a Brent Urban amongst the group. Maybe you get lucky. Somebody says Sue too old. Man, I'd even settle. I'm at the point, man, where I would settle for an old guy like Sue and them. And I know I probably shouldn't. And the Linval Joseph, throw bodies at him. Sue, Linval Joseph, Calais Campbell, we'll have the elderlies in the middle. I don't give a damn. But you cannot go into the season with recovering Mazi, Osa. Damn it, they got Chauncey Golston playing defense. Guys, Chauncey and these rookies and say, yeah, we good to go. No, we're not. No, we're not. Oh, you're a reseller. Okay. I didn't know if it was a play on words. I don't know, bro. Shouts out to you, though. Now, not my Michelle, but a different Michelle said going to get defensive tackle in the USFL. Now, 2 years in a row, they've picked some USFL players and they've turned into Pro Bowlers. So if we can make it 3, let's do it. You know what I mean? Big Sarge said Campbell's not interested in playing defensive tackle no more. Is that what he said? Damn, well, we could throw him out then. If he don't want to play defensive tackle, then we don't need you. We need a defensive tackle. Aaron said, Sky, will Mazi be better getting off the ball, or will the shoulder injury not let him get better in that department? I don't think the shoulder injury will have any effect on that. I just think that's something that he needs to get better at, period. Something he wasn't great at Michigan, but I feel like because he knew and was confident what to do at Michigan, didn't really always affect him. In Dallas, I feel like he always was. You could tell he was thinking. And then, man, it was a lot of sloppy film with Mazi. A lot of sloppy film. So get off isn't and I hate that he lost so much. It's not about the weight. That's what's weird to me. The get off on a ball is not about. Hankins weighed 350 pounds. When he sweat, it's burger grease that come out. Watch him get off. Watch him get off. My man over in Tampa, he 350 pounds. Watch his get off. Dexter Lawrence, 340 pounds. Watch his get off. It's not really about the weight. So whenever time I hear, well, you know, maybe they said he lose some weight for the get off, I never bought that. We act like Mazi was out there 360. Mazi was 328 pounds, man. His get off is about the mental aspect of it. Hey, that's true too, Professor O. Bo Hanna had a better get off, and Bo was like 360. So, you know, I'm not really buying the weight aspect of it. I think what happened with Mazi Smith is he was dealing with mental issues during the season, and when you go into, you know, that type of situation, you tend to lose weight. And maybe he was legitimately trying to lose weight on top of, like I said earlier, people don't really, and I love that McCarthy, you know, illustrated this to us with Jake Ferguson. You usually lose weight during the season anyway. It's hard to maintain whatever said weight you had coming into the season. So there's goals, right? There's fail safes. If Mazi came in 328, we don't want you dropping below 320. We know what's going to happen. We don't want you dropping below 320. So this is what we're doing to maintain it. So those 3 factors, the mental factor, maybe he actually did want to try to lose a little bit of weight. And then on top of it, he's losing weight naturally. Just shot him down to 290 Mazi, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, good stuff today, y'all. Appreciate y'all for joining me on this second edition of the State of the Unit, looking at the safety position, right? I think these guys are going to have a good year. If they don't, y'all can come back here and throw tomatoes at me. I'll be back Wednesday, and we're going to start our countdown to camp. All right, we got some battlegrounds, some camp battles we're going to be looking at throughout the next month of this off season. Remember, we are slow rolling this thing because we're in the dead period, unfortunately, man. And when we're in the dead period, you'll hear the dead man. BBL Mazi's. Oh, come on, y'all. BBL Mazi is diabolical. Thursday, I will be back as well. Like I said, if you missed the top of the show, me and Mo are crossing over. So I will be on Mo's show Thursday night at some point during this off season. Mo will be on my show. He'll be, I think, taking a vacation later on in the month. Mine will be sometime in July. So we're going to take advantage of this dead period personally as well. But we're also going to continue to give you guys quality content. So make sure y'all keep it locked. Yeah. Hey, Big Max, T-Dub wildin', bro. BBM. I'm pressing this button. Y'all crazy. Oh, man. Leave Mazi alone, bro.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
BBM. Final boss fears the bell. I showed my son. He didn't get a chance to watch Mania. I said, son, this is the greatest finish I've ever seen at WrestleMania. And we watched it together. And he even was like, when the Undertaker bell dropped, unbelievable. Chills all over again. Love y'all. We out here. Peace. Buttons don't want to act right today. Man, it's so weird you bring up Macho Man. I've been listening to some classical music of late, just to kind of chill and whatnot. And Macho Man's theme always plays, and I'm always reminded it's the graduation theme, but to me, it's Macho Man's theme. They're playing at graduation. Just some random information for you. Cream always rises to the top.